Welcome back. In the last video in the series, I talked about what the meta pattern is, the neuroscience of the meta pattern, and I briefly went over the 4 steps of the meta pattern. So if you're returning now, I want to talk more specifically about the first step of the meta pattern, associating somebody into the problem context. Now, if you haven't watched that other video, I think it's important that you do. It's going to give you an overview, it's going to tell you where we're going, and give you an idea of why you should learn this in the first place. So if you haven't watched that video, in my opinion, go back, do that now, and then come back to this video. And if you are interested in really learning the meta pattern, I do have a training that is available currently. If you click the link below the video, the registration is available. It's a live training with me where I'm going to teach you how to do these 4 steps, and you will get practical, real-world experience. Okay, so the first step of the meta pattern is associating the person to the either present state or the problem state. Okay. Now, when we say associating them to the present state or the problem state, remember that when we're doing communication, coaching, or you're doing work on yourself, right? If you have a negative state, we have to actually get access to that state in order to bring in the resources that come in steps 3 and 4, right? So we have to light that neurology up. We actually have to activate that neurology. Remember, the principle that makes all this work is neurons that fire together, wire together. So we need to be able to fire the present state neurology. Now, why am I making the distinction present state or problem state? Well, NLP in the beginning is remedial. I have XYZ problem. Over time, it becomes generative, right? Why not? This is why I'm so passionate about this. Why not take the beliefs of the most effective coaches, therapists, business owners, right? Lovers. Why not take the beliefs of the people who have created success beyond what we thought was possible and then bring them into your context where you're living. So when I say present state, not all change work is remedial. Some of it is very generative. So anyway, so we need to light up the neurology associated with this. Now, the best way to do this, as they talk about in the book, is to pick a specific time when the person had the problem or was in the present state and begin to chunk them down. Well, in NLP, we use the meta model to chunk down and gain information, right? So if somebody comes in and they say, you know, I have, I have a hard time speaking up in meetings, right? So a client comes to you with that. They've taken this problem, and then what they've done is they've given you a summary of the problem. That doesn't mean that they're actually activating that neurology when they tell you about it. And oftentimes what they've done too is they've done the whole generalize, delete, distort, and they're really giving you their own mind read about what their problem is. And that is sometimes accurate and sometimes not, right? Richard Bandler says, you know, clients will tell you exactly what their problem is within the first 15 seconds. It's true, they'll do that. They'll do that with their linguistics, they'll do that with their eye accessing, but their summaries, their rules, their conclusions, their interpretations about the problem are not necessarily true. So we want to bring them down from this abstract thing, I have a hard time speaking up in meetings, to a specific example. Because in that specific example, we're going to get the trigger. In NLP, we call it the synesthesia, the thing they see or hear on the outside that has been wired to that problem or present state. So we have to chunk them down, right? So the way we do this, we say very simply, when was the last time this happened, right? And you're gonna hear me start to use present tense language as I start to chunk them down. So yeah, well, the client is gonna be this guy over here, right? Well, I was in this meeting on Tuesday and I had the problem then. right? So as coach, I'm gonna pace and lead and reorient that person into the meeting. So you're in the meeting on Tuesday, and what are you seeing and what are you hearing, right? I'm going from, and I wanna make sure I actually get the person associated to the context to the point where I see a change in state. If I do not, if this was his normal body language, and then when he does associate, we see some change. Sure, inhale, breathing changes, skin color, muscle tension. As a coach, this is what will give you confidence. Because when you can calibrate to the present state, that's how you know whether you're done or not, right? If you want to be able to get the present state and have access to it, calibrate to it, this is what the present state looked like, right? And then when you come back and you do steps 3 and 4, when you get the resources and you do the collapse, when you talk about the context, you should see the resource physiology. And when you can do that and you can calibrate to that, problem state physiology versus the desired state physiology, and you're able to notice the difference and be able to put the responses you want there predictably, right? As the coach, it's your job to orchestrate this. In order for the firing and wiring to be there, you need to be able to get, okay, problem state. And you need to be able to grab a hold of that and command it in session, yeah? So this is extremely important. If we don't get them associated to the problem state, we got nothing to work with. We got nothing to work with, right? If you can't get the environmental cues, the external triggers, right, that have become over time wired to the problem state, we got nothing. We got nothing. So, and this is why I think this is a great place for you to use this framework, yeah? Because it gives you a way to reflect, okay, either in a coaching or a persuasion. In persuasion, by the way, the context would be either in the sales meeting or the leadership meeting or the product, service, or action you want them to take. That would be the present, current state, right? So when we think about the resources, in a sales situation, the resource might be desire, right? So we'd be attaching the desire to the product that you want them to buy from you, for example, okay? But if we can't get them to think about the product, or in coaching, if we can't get them to access the problem state, what are we doing here, right? So the reason this is gonna help you is because you can reflect back and you do not move on in your coaching until you have access to the problem. In the next video, we're gonna talk about disassociating from the problem state. I think some great resource for you, go read the NLP book, The Meta Pattern by Sean Carson. I'll call it et al. And if you want more experience with this, go ahead, click the link for the training. And I'm gonna train you in exactly, you're gonna get real world experience doing this. And it will make you a much stronger coach. It will make you a much stronger communicator. And make sure you stay tuned for the next video. So the next one will be on disassociating from the problem state, why that's important. And it might be out already. So go ahead, look around, click the link. If you haven't yet, do subscribe. Do hit the bell so you get notified when videos like these become available.